Hello,
everybody.
hello. Welcome everyone again to our Mockup Redesign for Developers series. We are here once more with our special guest, Brandon Minnick. um, we had to take a break last week because, as you guys know, we had election week and we wanted to leave everybody to have their own whole election week at peace and everybody focused on elections. So now we're back, and I hope everybody is doing great. Uh, I have seen a lot of updates this week in regards to .NET Comp, and I think Brandon has some really good updates on some new features we're taking advantage of with the new releases we got. So, Brandon, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, .NET 5 was released yesterday, officially. I mean, you could have gotten preview releases and release candidates for the last few months, but yeah, yesterday was the official release, and along with it are all these new goodies that are coming in C Sharp 9. So, let's see. Want to go ahead and pull up my screen and
Yep.
let's show off some of this stuff because
You should have your screen up now. Oh,
nice.
so for everybody in the chat, remember the drill. The first few minutes, let us know if the audio is okay, if you're seeing everything with the video feed good as well, so we can make any adjustments needed.
Absolutely. So I will say first things first, since we are a Xamarin, we're talking Xamarin here. The first thing you want to do to take advantage of all this stuff is jump into or onto the preview channel. So in Visual Studio for Mac, that means coming here and setting our update channel to preview. On Visual Studio for PC, you just download the preview version of Visual Studio. You can have them on the PC. You can have preview and stable installed side by side, which is kind of cool. But yeah, there's been a lot of cool things on track for C Sharp 9 that I've been super excited about. And a lot of them I've already done in GitTrends. So I'll show you what that looks like in the code for a minute or in a minute. But yeah, so there's cool things like records. Records are basically classes, but they are immutable classes. They're classes you can create with one line of code, and they're classes that by default use a value equality. So if you've ever had to say something like, "Does this object equal this object?" Uh, most of the times it'll come back and say no, because they're different reference types. They're like when we create an object that is literally the .NET runtime is creating space in memory and storing that object there. And so in our code, when we're talking about objects, what we're really talking about is pointing to the place in memory where that object lives. And with classes, if you compare two classes together, they'll always default to reference equality, which means they'll look at where those objects are stored in memory. So even if two objects have the exact same values, this object equals this object would come back false. With records, they default to value-based equality, so it'll actually compare the values inside of that object. So if you had a class called person, and the first name was Brandon, the last name is Minnick, and you had another class called person, and the first name is Brandon, and the last name is Minnick, if you said person one equals person two, with records, that'll come back true. So records are really cool. I'll show you how I used them already in GitTrends. We also got init-only properties. These are an awesome way to create immutable data. So I'm a big fan of immutable data. Immutable means you cannot change it once you create it. And so where I use immutable data is for things like DTOs, so data transfer objects, meaning like the data that comes back from APIs. So for example, in GitTrends, when I make a call to the GitHub API, and the GitHub API gives me back the data and says, here's the data from the API, that should be immutable. I shouldn't ever be able to change that, because if I modify that object or modify a property in that object, then that data no longer represents the data from the API. So I'm a big fan of immutable objects, and with init properties, it makes it easier to do that, because instead of having like this person class here that says get set, well, I could create a new person, and then the next line of code, I could say person.last name equals something different. So that is called mutable, meaning you can change it. Immutable means you can't, and we can use init only properties that are due in C#9 to take advantage of that. So init means you can still initialize, you can use the property initializers when you create this object, but then if you try to change the last name like here, this will cause a compiler error because last name is immutable. So the really nice thing with with read-only, we'll get it down. The really nice thing with init-only properties is that we can use these with databases. And so I actually just put out a blog post today. Let's see, what's my blog? Here we go, codetraveler.io. Because with SQLite, we can now use immutable objects. SQLite, long story short, SQLite uses reflection. So when it looks at the table in the database and it returns something like this person, SQLite needed reflection to be able to initialize that person object for us and set the values of each property. And because it used reflection, that meant two things. You could not, first thing being, you could not have first thing being, you had to have a parameterless constructor because reflection needed to initialize this object. So the constructor for this had to be parameterless, so a default constructor. And the second thing is that you always had to have public setters, which if you have a public setter, we just talked about this, you lose immutability. It's now an object that can be modified. And that's not good, because if we modify the object that comes back from our database, well, then that object no longer represents the data in our database. So yeah, I just put together this blog post this morning where, using similar examples, talk about what are immutable objects. But the highlight here is you can just take a class you already have, the class you're already using for SQLite, and instead of using get set, you say get init, and now it can be used with reflection. So init enables reflection to create the object and assign the properties as well, which means SQLite didn't have to change anything. It's just basically something they got for free as a benefit of this new syntax with init-only properties. So yeah, if you want to have immutable data coming from your SQLite database, we can do that now with init-only properties. That's brand new in C#9. There's some more init stuff. There's some more record stuff. And then the other thing I really like is the with expressions. And I'll show you an example of what this looks like in GitTrends as well. But essentially, if we have immutable data, that means we can never change a property, which, like I said, I love that because I want my data that comes from the database to represent what exists in the database. I want my data that comes from the API to represent the data that exists in that API. If I want to create another object and change that data, that's fine, but I shouldn't be able to change the data in that object. And what the with expression allows us to do is essentially create a new object based off an existing object by just tweak a couple of properties. So like right here, we see we created person, and then we said, let's create another person, and you say with last name equals Torgerson. So we didn't have to we didn't have to use all this syntax, right? This new person, first name equals Mads, last names equals Torgerson. We could just essentially copy that existing object, tweak the last name, and we're good to go. So what does all this look like? The first thing I want to show you is how much records are awesome. this is it. probably a little underwhelming, but public record get GitHub client ID DTO. Just to show you, if this was a class, and it was literally before I came in here and changed all the code yesterday, this one line of code was the same as these. We're getting there. So public string client ID get public this equals client ID. Boom. So basically, this one line of code is the same thing as this 5 lines of code. And like, this is a pretty simple example, but because there's not a lot of properties going on here. But essentially what we're doing is we're creating a record. So that's the new thing in C# 9 that we were just talking about. And then just by passing this into the constructor, that does a couple things. That tells the compiler to say, hey, go ahead and create a property inside of this record called client ID and require it in the constructor. Anytime anybody wants to create a new get GitHub client ID DTO. And so one of the first things I did with C# 9 was I just went through and just changed all these files to be essentially one line of code. It almost feels silly having these in multiple files.
And separate files.
Yeah. But like, here's a good one. Like, this one required name, description, fork count, URL, owner, is fork, issues. And so when you start getting more bigger classes with more properties in them, records definitely save you tons of code. Like, this file was probably closer to 100 lines of code before we moved everything to records. And so,
yeah, that's really nice. I'll make sure to use all of this now.
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of records. I know a lot of people are asking like, "Wow, what's the point? We already have classes." And it's like, yeah, you can keep using classes for the rest of your life. That's totally fine. Oh man, I got a beach ball. So yeah, like, if you want to keep using classes, that's fine. If you want to keep hand creating all these, all this boilerplate code, that's fine. If you want your objects to be mutable, meaning you can change the data that comes back from the API, that's fine too. But I'm on record that I'm against all of that. Immutable, everything should be immutable. And then take advantage of records because they'll save you the hassle of writing all that boilerplate code. And you get cool features that, now that Visual Studio came back online, I can show you a really great example of where this saves me a lot of code, a lot of maintenance. And that is actually something we'll be showing off today, because we'll be talking about how to add favorites and stuff to the GitTrends UI. So you can be able to favorite a repository. And so let's comment this line of code. We back yet, Visual Studio? There we go. So this line of code used to look like repository list.add. And what is going on in this code? This is the code that comes back from the GitHub API when I ask for all of the repositories. So we get all the repositories back, and that's great, but GitHub doesn't know which repos you've favorited in the app. So I went ahead and pulled the repositories that you favorited, and then this is where we see, basically compare the data that comes back from GitHub's API and says, this repository we're looking at here, is that one that's already favorited? And if it is, then we have to flip that is favorite bit. So this code used to look like this. It used to say new repository, and then look how big this constructor is for the repository data that comes back from GitHub. It's massive. So literally this code was, let's see, I already lost my IntelliSense. So this is repository.name, repository.description, repository.fork count, blah, 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 all just so I could set that one bit to say is favorite is true. Boom. So that was just basically we're just needlessly writing out tons and tons of code, because now in C#9, I can say copy all the data from that existing repository with one exception, with is favorite is equal to true. And then we'll add that to the repository list. So huge savings there. So yeah, we're taking advantage of, and then we're also actually in repository. These are all init. So taking advantage of these init only properties so that repository can still be, it's still immutable. And something I learned is there's a lot of cool new things with this init, because it's basically the same as a setter, but what if somebody does, and I do do this. This is a bug I found. I'll share it with, let's see. This bug was in one of the service layers. Actually, I think it's in this class right here. There we go. So I'm doing something similar here. Something that's kind of a bummer with the GitHub APIs. They have a REST API and they have a GraphQL API. Also a big fan of GraphQL, just like immutable data, just like all the things I've been preaching today. I truly believe everybody should be using GraphQL, because what's great about it is in one round trip, I can say, give me all the data I need. I don't have to make multiple round trips to the API. And so GitHub has a GraphQL API, but they haven't implemented everything from the REST API yet, which is annoying. So for example, I can call the GraphQL API and I can say, give me all of the repositories for this specific user. And for each of those repositories, tell me things like, what's the repository name? What's the URL? What's the avatar? Like all the details, except it doesn't give me back the clones, trends, and stars data. So we then have to take that data and then add to it. So this is another place where we get all the repository statistics. So this is where I get the views, clones, and stars from the REST API. And then once I have that, I can go through that repositories list, find the single repository that matches the one we just got the data back for. And again, using just with, I can say essentially clone everything from that existing repository and only tweak the daily views, daily clones, and start at. So again, really cool. But what I found is because these are, and it's just like a setter, we can use it to basically set other read-only properties in here. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, I've got all these properties like total views, total unique views, total unique clones, star count, is trending. And all of these depend upon the data we get back. So if the daily clones list is updated, then I also have to update the number of clones. And that's just getting the sum from the data that comes back. That'll impact is trending. And so, yeah, what I found was a couple things. We can do that in this init block. So this is all still valid. And this chunk of code fires. I'll show these side by side. No. Boom. There we go. So yeah, this init chunk of code fires as soon as I do this, because this is essentially initializing the daily views list. And so at the same time, I can get total views, total unique views, and is trending updated. Happy days. But then the problem I had was, well, wait a minute. That means I'm changing the values of these properties, and I still want them to be read-only. But these properties depend on daily views lists. So like, I don't want somebody to be able to come in here and say, is trending equals false, because it's dependent upon the data that we get back from the views and clones. And so something else cool that I learned, and I haven't seen this in any blog post, so we're breaking news live today on the stream, is that you can do a private init. So get private init, similar to like a get private set, means that only this class can edit this property on init. So so we can still initialize its value based on these other properties. We can still, like, as long as we're inside these init blocks, we can still do it. But then nobody can come back and set is trending equal to anything. It's basically a read-only property, but it's based on these values. And I like this because one thing I was going to do is, instead of that, my first stab at it, I was just going to do, let's see, daily clones list is trending. I think that returns a nullable. So I was going to do it like this. I was going to make an expression bodied member, daily views list is trending. So wrap everything up so it doesn't hate me, semicolon, there we go. So this is the same logic, and this would work. But the problem is, because this is an expression body member, it's essentially just like a method. Like, this code would execute every time. And so, like, the is trending logic every time for all hundreds of repositories would have to come in here and do all this math to see if it's trending. Or likewise, just to find out the total clones count, we could have done expression body member. But then every time we'd want to check the number of total clones, then it's going to have to walk through this list and sum up everything. So we wouldn't, what am I trying to say? This data is not going to change. Daily clones list, once we set it, it's it, because it's immutable. And so I didn't want to get hit with the performance impact of having to do the math every time and traverse these lists. And especially as these lists grow, then the performance hit becomes exponential. So yeah, we can take advantage of private init, and that means because we're in the class, we can modify it, and because we're in this init block, we can modify it. So really cool stuff. I'm super excited about C# 9, and so let's see, Luis, what's your favorite so far with C# 9?
Yeah, I definitely love everything you have done so far in the project with this. Like, you literally have only used like a few features, right? And you see how big of an impact we have made already to the code and the benefits, right? I definitely do like the record as you showed, like how we're saving all that time in that boilerplate code, because I'm also a supporter for like not writing that boilerplate code every day. Like,
Right.
even for like property change, I always love to use 40. So if I don't have 40, I don't like to continue with the project. I'll be like, hey, first 40, and then we do whatever we need to do. So yeah, definitely all these features that allow me to not to save all that boilerplate code I had to write. I
Yeah.
definitely need to continue seeing all the features that are coming out. I have not gone through the whole list, but just with the few things I've seen, I'm sold.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think this is probably the biggest one is when we're first standing up our apps, right? Like, and we're using an API, we go find out like what's that JSON response, and then we plug it into a tool like QuickType, or I think there's tools built into Visual Studio, and then QuickType will tell us like, okay, well, here's your C# object, and you have to have all these properties, and really now this is just going to become like one line of code. It's like, I don't know if QuickType has any plans to update for records, but yeah, instead of having all this boilerplate code, it's just going to be one line of code.
Yep.
And it just works too, which is great. Like, for example, like all this data is coming back from APIs, and I'm still using Newtonsoft.json because you need to use .NET Core 3 to take advantage of system.text.json, which is .NET's implementation of Newtonsoft.json. And it's great. I wish we could use it, but we can't use .NET Core with Xamarin Apps, and we won't be able to until .NET 6. But like, this works. Like, Newtonsoft.json handles this, deserializes it, serializes it, just like you would expect. Like, you notice I don't have anything in here with like JSON property on it or anything. Like, this is just the data comes back from the API, and Newtonsoft.json automatically just deserializes into an object. So it's great. Like, it's amazing. Like, all these tools that exist, like Newtonsoft.json, SQLite.net or .net, they didn't change anything, but we get all these performance benefits and syntactic sugar benefits and security benefits just because we got a bump in the language version.
Yeah, and like as you're saying here with Newtonsoft, like this is the normal case you always have. Like, we have those JSON properties and we can like change to what it's mapping, but do we really use that as much? Not really. Like, this is the most, like, I would say 80% or 90% of all your objects you're creating to deserialize and serialize are like default, right? So definitely a good improvement as you're saying here. But my question then is, if we need to add those properties, we would opt for the other option, right? Because we have to define those attributes at the top, or could we do it with this as well?
So yeah, if you wanted to, it'd be the same thing. Like, a repository is a record, but I just manually defined it. So like, I manually defined the constructor because I wanted to do things like make sure that this wasn't null, make sure that wasn't null, and then adding in all this logic here because certain properties depend on the other properties. And
yep.
So yeah, you can still manually do everything, and like, I could put a JSON property on here, something like that. So you can do, like, if you wanted to start going through and taking advantage of records, you can literally just change the word class
to
record. And then
Nice.
You'll take advantage of things like these init only properties. Actually, those work with classes too. But I think records, the biggest difference between records and classes is you won't be able to use the with operator with classes, and you will still have reference-based equality. And actually, I don't know if I would do it, but I was just thinking about, we all have that base view model class for iNotify property change. Well, you don't, because you said you use Fody, which is also good. But yeah, this is where we are comparing the values, and we have to do it like this because, again, if we just said like backing store equals value, it'll never be true unless it's like an int or a primitive type or a value type. And so we have to have this weird line of code. But if everything was a record, then yeah, we could just say, does this equal this? Okay, then we're good because it's value type comparison. So and then this is a new one too. In C#9, we don't have to say new weak event manager anymore. If we've already defined weak advantage, if we've already defined the type on the left-hand side, then you can just go boop, new.
Nice. Yep, saving lines of code.
That's right. So yeah, GitTrends is completely modernized for C#9. And I also want to show off some of the work we did last week, because I took advantage of the fact that we weren't streaming, which is a bummer because I love coming on the stream. But I love writing code, and it's also a great distraction for me. And like, this election season, I mean, every election is stressful, but this one being coupled with the pandemic, it was just like more stress. And then it's like, we don't know who won yet. So it was like 4 days of stress. Yep. And then, I mean, you still have Trump pretending like he didn't lose, which is going to be interesting to see how that rolls out. But yeah, so I figured Nice little distraction last week. Let's jump into code. Let's implement some of these things we've been talking about here on the stream. And so, I don't know, in like another hour, once this is done compiling, we'll show this off. Actually, it might already be in the simulator. Nope. Oh, that's the Mini. Who uses the Mini? I don't. But yeah, I'll show you. We've got a couple new features, like being able to swipe to favorite. So on the repository page, you have your list of repositories, and now you can slide one to the side and tap favorite. That UX still isn't done. It's definitely going to be something we chat about on the stream, whether today or next week. I don't know. And then I also implemented the UI for the star history header. So we had the star chart working and we saw your star history, but above it had been blank for weeks. So I just went ahead and took the drawings that we had in Adobe XD, implemented those, and maybe we'll be able to see it.
Yeah, and that's definitely gonna help us as well, since I remember, guys, when we said that we don't need to have everything, like all these little improvements you keep doing to some of the sections, right, that you design in the Adobe XD project. You don't necessarily need to like do the whole mockup to do a little improvement and then code it. You can definitely do try something in the code, and then if you see that you actually like it, just bring it into the project. So this is actually going to help us as well. I'll be taking screenshots while Brandon shows me all the work he has done, because
Go ahead and
we're
make this
gonna
nice and big for you.
yeah, because we are gonna take that now and try and polish it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go dark first. There we go. And so right now we can already see like GitTrends is at the top, even though there's other repositories that are trending. There's other repositories that have more views below it. This is appearing at the top because I marked it as one of my favorite repos. And we can do that just by tapping that button. So right now I just put a text placeholder here. Luis and I were chatting about turning this into maybe a star-shaped icon that the star is filled when it's a favorite, and it's only an outline of a star when it's not. So like if I tap favorite, GitTrends will go back to where it ends up in whatever we're sorting on. It looks like we're sorting on total views. But if it is a favorite, then it'll always be at the top. And so, like I said, this still needs some love. We've been talking about...
I couldn't catch the last one. You pressed it too quick.
Oh, you want to get the...
Yeah, the second update. Yeah, this one. Yeah, give me a sec.
No problem.
There you go. Okay. Got it.
So like I said, that text is just a placeholder because you had to put something there so you could tap on it. But yeah, now that it's at the top, now it just looks out of place. It looks like the sorting algorithm's busted because it's not trending, and it doesn't have, say, more views than these other repos. So what we were chatting about is making a tag similar to this trending tag. Maybe it's yellow, and we put it right here that says favorite. And then if something's both a favorite and trending, then that would maybe we show trending, but with a yellow dashed line or something like that. Something just to let the user know that there's a reason this repository is at the top. Our sorting algorithm isn't broken.
Yep.
And then here, took that.
Nice.
Yeah. So took that header that we created on previous streams and implemented it, and it looks pretty good. I mean, one of my concerns was that this color here, like this black color, I was just lazy, to be honest, when I was doing this, and I just copied the page background color. So if we were to zoom in, you'd see that this color right here for the page is the same color as this. But it kind of works because this is elevated. It's especially noticeable if we switch over to light theme that this is elevated and the header is not. So it almost like it works. It looks like a cutout in the header. Now, the only other concern I had was the light theme doesn't look as good as the dark theme for the header. Yeah. But when I look at it on my actual device, the contrast is much better. And so I don't know if just this is because I'm using a simulator. I don't know if this is just because the display on my MacBook Pro isn't as good as the display on my iPhone. But when I look at this on my iPhone, I don't see a contrast problem. When I look at it here, it's kind of just like, why would you put white on yellow like that?
Yeah.
So I think that's something we'll keep in mind, and maybe we try it out on a couple different devices like iPhone, Androids, because I mean this color could be anything we want, right? Like we could have made this pink. It doesn't have to be white. So I think it's gonna be okay, but we'll figure that out. And then the last thing I did, I added about here to this page. Right now the about page is just blank. I just have some lorem ipsum placeholder text here. But this is where we'll describe like what is GitTrends, how does it work, let people know that it's open source. So if you want to make a feature request or report a bug, all that good stuff will go into here. And something I was thinking about after adding the about row is what if we got rid of this down here? This preferred charts, I think, has so jump the shark a little bit. And what I mean by that is if you look at the first version of the app, the only options were to connect to GitHub and to set your preferred charts. And that's why we use this segmented control for preferred charts. But now we've added in light themes, dark themes, we've added in language support. And so we have these pickers here that, like, look, there's 3 options here between default, light, and dark. So why is preferred charts broken out like this when there's only 3 options? And what I'm thinking is we turn preferred charts into a row. And when we do that, I think we can slide the about row down to the bottom. So my thought process for this mockup was I'm going to put about at the top, because if I put it below language, then it gets buried because you have all these different options. Then you would have your about page, and then you would have another option for preferred charts. But I think if we make preferred charts just a picker, like say the language support, then we can put about down at the bottom, because people are like, the about page is probably going to be the least used page in the app. And so giving it like a prominent real estate like this is not the best idea. It's taking up some valuable real estate, and I want to drop it to the bottom where it's there, but it's not here where your eye line is. Plus, I think it also makes sense to have the connect disconnect closest to the icon here at the top. But
operational console.
Yeah, who knows what's going on there, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably just, I think there's probably a cancellation token. Oh, there is. Yeah, that's a bug. I have a cancellation token that will cancel anything when you leave the page. So before we had the about page here, the only way you could leave the page was to go back to the repository page. So yeah, I just have it on disappearing, cancel anything you're doing. So if somebody went to like log in with GitHub, I would cancel it if they swiped away. Because like, you know, sometimes that happens where like you tap a button, you're like, shoot, and like you try to like undo it real quick. So that was kind of like the fail safe. But yeah, no, it's a bug. We just got a bug live on the air.
So yeah, I think that idea of turning the preferred charts into a picker, yeah, I like it. I don't think we need that semantic control anymore. I would even go as far as removing the option completely. Like we should add like some analytics to that, because
Oh, sure.
do people really use that feature? Like at first, I really was like, oh yeah, I have the option to only put the uniques or like all of them, right? But in reality, I have not used that that semantic control that much. If I'm being honest.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I've never used it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see. So preferred. That's language. Chart. I forget what I called it. We'll figure this out. Trends chart option.
Trends chart.
And so all. Okay. So yeah, trends. Chart option changed.
Oh.
So.
Oh wow. People actually use it.
Yeah, looks like it, huh? Looks
Yeah.
like. I mean, 80% of users. This is iOS here on the right. So 80% of iOS users just use the default, which is all. But you still get about 20% who have their own preferences. Looks like Android's a little bit more picky. They've got
Yeah.
35%. So
Nice. Then it stays.
yeah, like 35.
Yeah.
That's enough users to
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah, we can just make it a
But-
picker, and that way the whole page looks balanced now because all the options have like the same format, right? Because the semantic control started to like get out of place once we added all the other ones, right?
Yeah, like when it was just the connect to GitHub and log out button,
Yeah.
that was fine. But yeah, I think it's just out of place now.
Yeah.
So yeah, plus I think it'll save some space. Like this settings page is starting to grow, which makes me a little nervous. But this segmented control takes up more height than if we just added it as a row. And so like even here on the iPhone 12 Pro, all the settings barely fit. Like even this created by is getting covered up down here. And then if you're on a smaller device, this is all jammed into a scroll view so you can scroll through it. But yeah, things are getting a little busy on the settings page. But not busy enough that we need to change anything. But if we added another row, if we added 2 more rows, then yeah, we'd probably want to like break up settings into like sections. So like maybe there's like preferred charts. That's probably something you'll never change again. Language you'll probably never change again. Register for notifications. Yeah, you might toggle that on and off as things change. Maybe like you start getting blown up with notifications one day, so you want to turn that off. But yeah, I think preferred charts is something you'll change once and decide whether or not you like it. And same thing with language, unless you're maybe you're learning a new language and you're like, oh, well, I'm learning French, so why not set the language and GitTrends to French? Like, I don't see anybody changing language more than once.
Yep, I totally agree. So I think those were all the updates you had to do last week, right?
Yep.
Sounds good. So, okay, now we can head over to the Adobe XD. I took all of the screenshots. We can put the screenshots here and start working on this now. Let me share my screen. Let me move some stuff around first. Over here. And share screen. And screen number 1, and there we are. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I sure can.
Perfect. Okay. So we have a couple things to view. The first one we're gonna be seeing is we're gonna finish defining if we want to go with this graphic for the 1 star or the 0 stars empty state, right?
Yep.
I think personally we already decide for the 0 stars, which is this one. And I actually like this one for the 1 star because he has like the bar, he only has 1 star here, and then he's like looking towards the next goal, which is like keep getting more. I know initially we had an idea of having like a guy like getting started to run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the first idea we were into. Oh, but we also like a lot this little fella see over here. I still like them a lot, so
Yeah, I like those guys too.
yeah, I would maybe change this for this because either way he has only 1 star here. And this could be like, hey, you got your first star in like celebration.
Right.
Yeah, let me copy this and let's see how it looks side by side, right? Yeah, they look really happy. Let's go here. Let me put it the same size.
Yeah, I think if the other one was a guy walking down a path, I think that would make more sense. But what breaks my brain is like, why? What are these columns? How come some are filled in? How come some aren't? He looks like he's just casually strolling. Like, is he even gonna make it to the next column? I just have a lot of questions about the other one.
Yeah. That's true. Let's put it here. Oh, wait. Command C. This here. There you go. Yeah. I actually like the little guys more. Let's see how they look on the dark team here.
Oh yeah, they're black. We might have to change their body color.
Or maybe not.
Oh, they're not black.
Wait, let's see. Wait, come back. Wait, let me group them. I think they're not grouped properly. That's why the stars were being left behind. So let me duplicate here. Align them. Put this in the center. Yeah, they work on the dark team as well. They're like, what is this? This is like purple or something. Dark purple?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. And since this background, let me verify that this background is white. So it doesn't, yeah, white. Good. Yeah, I like that one. So,
Yep, that works for me.
Yeah.
And we'll say something like, and that's where we have to still have to figure out like the title text, something like, I mean, obviously the header will say total 1, keep it up. Yeah, like you got your first star.
And maybe something like, ooh.
Yeah, very inspiring.
Yeah, I will definitely download the app again if I see that message.
I was just thinking about though. I don't think I have any code written to handle the header for like 1 star, 0 stars. So right now I'm opening up an app to see what it looks like if I, yeah. So, so yeah, right now, if there's 0 stars, the app shows the 0 star empty view. which is great. But then the header still says total 0, keep it up. And so I'm thinking should probably tweak that too. But
Yeah,
that's cool. I can make a mental note.
yeah. So in terms of so we already have the illustrations defined. I think we added this one to the project, no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's already in there.
Yeah, we need to add this one. And for the header, I actually like this combination. Because right now, we have some, the default one you added just with the background color, right? But if you notice, if we put it like this, it looks like more alive, right? Because you have like the black color for this really accent color, which with the white, if it's something small like an icon or something, it works. But if it's text, that's why you got that reaction you were saying, like, oh my god, I feel like it's too much white, right? Like I can't really read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for text, when we have an accent color, the recommendation is to have a good contrast between them, right? So the default we do is, okay, if we're in the light theme and we're putting text on top of accent color, we're gonna take the icon color defined for this theme, which is normally same as the text color, the body text color. And if you remember that, you're gonna notice that it's always gonna be like in light theme is gonna be either black or like a really dark color that has a lot of contrast with the light colors here. And in the light theme, here we can break the rules because I actually like how it looked, as you said, with the black color here, because it looks like we took this. We took like, let's imagine this is a sheet, and we cut in like the text inside of it, right? Because the text is the same color as this background, so it looks like it's like, like cut. So I really like how it looks in the dark theme. So instead of going with the text color or the icon color of the dark theme here, we can go and go with the background color for this. But for the icons, I think we should keep it with the white color for both cases.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. And yeah, I think we're probably, I think we're done with this section, no? The only thing I think we have left is to talk about the axis, the y-axis in the chart. I remember you said you wanted to talk a bit about what we're doing here. So let's remind the audience what were your concerns in terms of the axis?
Yeah, I'll share my screen and show you.
Yep. And there you go.
Just in time. Just in time for the happy launch. Let's gotta pull out the data.
Our production is getting better. Everything is planned.
That's right. Let's wait till we get some data in.
Nice. Yeah, and there you can see how all the repos start switching around with the new changes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I did play around with this axis a little bit, and basically what I did was I edited the interval. So there's always 10 data points because there's a couple concerns going on. So as you have more and more stars, if you set the interval to 1, then like this line just blew up. Like the y-axis had to report all 700 lines, and so now it'll always be just 10 based on however you're viewing it, whether you're zoomed in or not. Same. It's all 10. It's always whole numbers. And then what I did was, let's go stars, find one with just a couple stars, 2 stars, 2 stars, come on. And there we go. So 2 stars, I put the minimum value here at 20. And so this is something that I was already doing with the views clones chart. And so again, it's because the views clones chart just looked weird. Like if 2 or 1 was the maximum value, then we'd be just like super zoomed in. And I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in with the simulator here. Nah, it's gonna be too hard. But yeah, you just end up being super zoomed in, and you'd essentially lose awareness of where you are, what you're looking at. So yeah, I just set the minimum to be 20. And if you're above 20, great. Then it'll expand out to match the max data. But if you're below 20, then we lock it at 20. And that was basically the big change, was minimum height is 20 and only show 10 intervals by default.
Yeah, so I think for below 20, we should probably vary the intervals, right? Because if you notice here, we're getting the case we didn't want to get with the modifications we did, which is having the chart look like a straight line. And it's because we are giving so much extra space that it's not being used, that the 0 from the 0 to the 2, it looks like, you can even notice the little change in the front.
So yes, but I would argue that's just because of the x-axis. Like this was a repo that was created back in 2018 that hasn't gotten any stars since January 2018.
And the x-axis, shouldn't we also if it had so many years, can we move it to the right or no?
So yeah, I mean, this was a tough one because it's in this case, kind of what we're saying here is you almost wish the chart was something more obvious.
Yeah.
Wait, which way am I zoom in? Zoom in? So yeah, if you saw this chart, it'd be very obvious that you got to start early on. Whoa. You got to start early on. You haven't got any stars in years. But the tough thing with that is it's easy for the user to jump to the assumption that the app is broken and it's not showing all the data. So yes, we can be smart and say, hey, let's scope the zoom on the x-axis to only show when there's been activity. But if we do that and users don't know that they could zoom out to see the entire x-axis, then we're gonna start getting complaints saying that we're not pulling down all the data.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to solve that one. And it's only something with old stale repos.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Thinking through it, this is not something that is gonna be common to have such an old repo, and you're gonna be looking at it every day, because if you're looking at it every day, you're probably maintaining it and it has activity. Right? So yeah, thinking at it again, I think we can just leave it like this. Yeah, because this is a case that is there, but this is how it should look in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and
because it's too many years. How many years does that repo have? It's 5-6 years. Yeah.
Actually, after we zoomed in, it was December 2017. So
yeah,
a couple years there. And so yeah, like you're saying, if it's an old stale repo that nobody's visiting, then it's not going to show up on the top of the charts here anyways.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, maybe that's your inspiration to try and get more traffic to it. That's your inspiration to try and get another star. I don't know, but
yeah. What was the name of that one?
Oh, the one
we. Yeah.
it was Zamcam. This was as a project I worked on in Microsoft a couple years ago. It was just like this internal hackathon project where we hooked up a Raspberry Pi camera to the cloud. So we used Azure IoT Hub and then created a Xamarin Forms app so you could see the video live stream and stuff like that. But as you can see, we haven't touched that in years.
Yeah, let me try and give a star to it because I want to see. I'm curious to see, since it had those 2 stars way back, if I give it one more, how it's gonna change. just for the sake of it. Let's see. Wait, but I can't see it in your.
Oh, because it's not mine.
Oh, yeah.
It belongs. Let's see. Let's see. Site github.com. That was Michael Watson.
Okay, Michael.
I just have to be a collaborator on it.
Oh, here it is. Let me go ahead and give a star. And there you go. He's gonna see the star. He's gonna be like, wait, why did this guy just come and give a star?
Zamcam's coming back.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, it has a really good README here. Oh, nice. Yeah, you have like the step-by-step of everything you did.
I made that.
Oh, nice.
That's definitely a Brandon Minnick README. Anytime you see screenshots and boxes and arrows.
Yeah,
I'm the guy.
really nice.
So there you go.
Hey, see, it looks, yeah. We can leave it like that. It looks good. Because as soon as they give you a new one, look how the chart becomes obvious, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the takeaway is when you see a flat chart, then you know that the repo is kind of dead. Like that's how I've been interpreting this stuff. Like, I don't know, what's this one look like? So like flat chart, this repo's kind of died. And at the end of the day, the goal is like, tell the user at a glance. It's like the user shouldn't have to really stare at this chart and figure it out. And yeah, I think that's just one of the takeaways is if you see a flat line, then yeah, you haven't gotten a lot of stars in a while.
Yep.
But
nice.
That's okay.
Exactly. You could always just share it again and get people on it. Yeah. So let's go back here. Let's see. Okay, let me pull up my screen again. So next. So next, what would you like us to see? Would you like me to, let me bring in all the screenshots and I can put them like down here. And let's leave the exporting like the assets for the end. And then I'll do the commit and all of that. So let me first organize the new stuff we have to work on. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this was when we were testing. That one doesn't go. And okay, let's see. Okay, so let's put the about us for last because that one is a bit more complex. I mean, not complex, it's more like we're gonna have to take, yeah, we're gonna take more time to like mock up something for that, right? So for the favorite one, it's gonna be like a more straightforward update. What is this? Oh, this is the one I tried to like capture you doing this one. And it ran away.
It's too quick.
Yeah, let's come here.
Yeah, like I think using the star icon to denote whether it's been favorited will make the swipe work. And then
Yep.
I think probably the tougher challenge will be like how do we do that favorite tag, like our trending tag? And actually that'll be pretty easy because it's just change it to yellow and change the word from trending to favorite. But then how do we combine them? So I think that's what'll be. That's probably the one where we'll spend the most time playing around with. Like, do we let the tag continue to say trending, but it's got maybe a white border, so you know it's also a favorite? Do we do like a combination dashed line of white? I'm sorry, dash green line, dash yellow line together?
Yep.
I don't know. Like that's something we won't. Like you kind of just got to see it. Until you see it, you won't know. It's just like, oh yeah, no, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, we can definitely work on that now. Because the trends page, well, the star chart page, I would say it's already pretty much done. We knocked that one out already.
Yeah.
It's just exporting those last resources. Oh, and we need to do the list of phrases for it. But yeah, that could also be like left for the end. Let's work with the mockups here.
Yeah, all that stuff is like not really concerned. Like even the about page,
Yeah.
kind of a general idea, and like I can just slap some labels on there, and it'll be just more about like font size and font families.
Yeah. Let's see. So here, if I remember correctly, yeah. So if you guys go to the Adobe XD project, you can come to this option here on the bottom called Libraries, and the project should have all our components for you to like tweak around and play with them. This is a good thing Adobe XD offers, and I really recommend you guys doing. Once you have, for example, you have made this card, right, for the repos list. Right now I use the list component they have and replicated it just as we do like with the collection view in xamarin, right? We only make one, and then we the tool replicates it, and we just modify all the content on the other ones. So once you have the card, since you know this might be something you want to reuse later on, you can take all of these elements. Let me see. Let me try and take all of this together. Take this, and this, and now we cut it. No. I need to deselect the list. Okay. Give me a second. I'll do it easier. I'll just drag this one to get the point. So let's say you design this by making the square, then you put the text on the title text, the description, and all of these components. Once you group them all together, there's gonna be an option here. Let's make another one real quick, and let's put a little bit of text. Right. And do this. there. So let's say this is a new component we have, some sort of radio button. We select them all. We can group it. So when we move it around, everything is together. But there's another option, which is called Make Component. And as soon as you press this, it's going to be added here to your library in Adobe XD. And that basically allows me to delete this, and anywhere I want to reuse that, I can just drag and drop here. And another great thing is that this works like in PowerPoint, you have like the master deck slides, right? And you have like the master template. And if you modify the master, that replicates to all the others, right? So this is kind of the same concept. If you grab the component and you right click it, it's gonna say edit main component. If you press this, it's gonna create a new one, but this one is gonna have the reference to the master, right? So if you modify anything in this master component or main component, it will replicate it throughout all the others. So as soon as I do this, you can see how the other one also gets the same changes. So that's a really cool feature I like about Adobe XD, because if I decided that I wanted to just tweak the corners in my list that are using this type of card, right? I can just go to edit main. It's gonna bring me here because this is my main one. And I can just come and tweak the corners. Okay, give me the option. It doesn't want to give me the option. Oh, there it is. I can just tweak the corners, and there you see how everything across the project gets those same changes. So yeah, just keep that in mind, guys, when you're trying to work now with tweaking existing elements you have in your project. Which is something we're gonna use heavily in this next parts. So I got my repository list component here. This is not the main one, this is a copy, so I can just literally just start playing around with it. So Brandon, let's see the screenshot, right? I want to replicate kind of the situation we're having in the screenshot, so we can let's do one on group. Okay. So we're trying to simulate what how the state is gonna be when we scroll to the right. You just find this width here, or is this like a default size you're having? So swipe to the left, and it shows the space for the favorite or not favorite text.
Luis, are you able to hear me all right? Your audio and video is getting a little choppy on my end, but I'm not sure if it's you or me.
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, it just keeps breaking up. And then even like when you're moving, like when you were pointing just now, it was a little choppy.
Okay, give me a second.
Well, now it's just me with his desktop.
You took. How about now?
Exactly the same.
Oh God, let's see what's happening with my computer. Let me check my network.
Or I mean, anybody watching, if let us know. It could just be something weird on my end. As long as the stream is good, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
I just might have to ask you to repeat your question a couple times.
Yeah, maybe try and open it from one of your devices. Do you have like your phone there, or let me try in mine as well. And that way we can
Sure.
see how it's going.
But I think regardless, like keep pushing forward.
Okay.
We've only got a couple minutes, 30 minutes left.
Oh yeah. Here it is. Let's see. Okay, so I'm testing the audio here. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying. Yeah, my video looks really bad on the stream. So, yeah, maybe it's just something on my end. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back over here to our component. Wait, I think I lost your video now. Oh, there you are. Okay, now you're moving again.
Nice.
Okay, so coming back here to the component, the question I had for you, Brandon, was the size, the width here. Is this something you define about how much you want it to show for the text, or is this like something default that it's getting?
That's just a default thing in Swipe View. I didn't play with any Swipe View settings. Like I don't know what we can do in regards to margin and padding, but we might. I think we should move forward under the assumption that we can only provide an image or text. And so I think the good first step is let's just pop in an image, see how it looks. Because even like, you can see not favorites basically getting cut off on the right side of the screen. Favorites not centered, it's too far to the right, the screenshots. Yeah. But I don't know how much control we have over that. So I would say for now, let's just create the image.
Yeah.
And then if we pop in the image and it just looks good or good enough, then we could say happy days and leave it. Yep. And if not, I think that's when we have to dig into like what kind of granularity, what kind of control do we have over Swipe View?
Yeah. Let me just assume that it has this width and put this over here. This is the available space we have, right? I would say let's go get an icon for this. So we were thinking about maybe using the star and having it like a outline or filled, depending if it's favorite or if it's not favorite. So let me open here. Let's go to our site. And we are using some of the icons from Redesign. I think they have the stars with the outline and everything. Let's see.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen them around the internet, like whether it's flat icon or one of the
Here
other
it
websites.
is.
Yep, there's one right there.
Nice. So, star. I have that one already. I just need this one.
What about the one on the end? Is that just a thinner border?
That's what I was about to ask you. I was like, wait. For me, they look the same, and why does one is called star border and the other one star outline? It looks like this one is a bit thinner.
Does it show you the SVG code?
Yeah, let's
or,
look at
or
that.
are these SVGs?
Yeah, I can download
It's like we could look at the path if we're really that concerned. But
I mean, any of them work.
yeah, it looks the same to me.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, you can make them rounded. No, ours is sharp.
Yeah,
That's
definitely sharp.
Yeah, you see, filled, outline, and sharp for me all look the same. The only two that change are rounded and outline. So okay. Oh, what do you think about this? Like, okay, it's not filled, but we could put like a little shadow, which is like gives you the feeling like it's disabled or not selected or something. I don't know. I mean, that might be overkill. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, I think we just leave it empty for now because that's also another color we'll have to add to our theme. We'll have to test it against light theme, dark theme, and so
Yep, that's true. So,
trying to make it a little bit less work for us. Let's just take this star, slap it in.
Yep.
If it looks good, we'll call it a day.
Let's bring this. Okay, what's happening here? Okay. Let's bring you down here.
Oh, that border really shows itself.
Yeah. This should be 32. No, because this is gonna be maybe 48. 48. Okay. Let's go over here. So I added this box. At first it looks like weird, like why do I even want to add this box, right? But this gives you a little advantage. Since now you have this box here, you can center the star inside of it. So we're reserving all the space. We know that if the user taps anywhere here, he's gonna activate the favorite or it's not favorite. But if we didn't have this, it will give us a harder time for us to center the star where we want it, right? To have it as realistic as we want. So now I can just take this away, the border away, and there we have it where it's gonna appear.
Can I ask you to check something?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm going crazy. Can you just draw a line from the peak of the star down through the bottom? Because it almost looks like this star isn't aligned to itself.
Yeah.
Do you see that too?
This end doesn't match with this one. Yeah, no.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Here it doesn't align either. You see? Let me
okay,
see.
so I guess if it's the same star.
Yeah. See? Because if it aligns, then the star is gonna look like a stretch. Yeah.
Oh no, I was saying so the top point, the highest point of the star, to almost like if that's the head and then you have arms and legs, like
Yeah.
that point at the top of the head doesn't match between the trough between the legs, but
Oh, you mean
it looks like that's all
okay.
intentional.
Yeah, like this point here doesn't match with this one, right?
Maybe it does. I don't know. But it's definitely an off-balance star, so
Yeah.
confirmed I'm not going crazy.
So lighting, we want this to be Let me replicate this with the other state. And okay. I don't want to complicate it, so I'll just take the fill star and put this here.
Yeah, I almost wonder if we're potentially running into the same problem where we had the yellow on the white on the star's chart header.
Let's see.
But
Wait, what was the size I gave to it? Oh,
44.
okay. So this star, since you see the bounding box it has,
oh yeah,
Yeah, so I actually gave 48 to 48, but since the bounding box is like messed up, this is actually not okay. Let me take it to Illustrator so I can get the pad, only the pad, and get a good bounding box, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not the real size. And why is this already open in Illustrator? Good question.
I also wouldn't hate it if the border was thinner.
Yeah.
Like, it looked fine when it was smaller, but
Let's see.
like we don't have anything that we don't have any lines that thick in the rest of the app.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of like all the other font weights, all the other charts, the settings page.
I'm
So-
trying to find. Let me see if this is a.
It's almost like it's not an SVG.
Yeah.
It
Let me
says
see.
SVG in the
Oh,
file name.
wait. I know how they made this now. Look, you see that I deleted something?
Oh,
Yeah. So they
just
made,
the inverse.
yeah, they made a big star, put this, and like cut it with that. So maybe we can select the inner star. Let's see. Yeah.
So it's not even the same star.
Yeah, let's try the other one. I think this one was called Star Border. Maybe the other one only has the outline, right?
Oh, maybe that's the difference.
Yeah. That has to be the difference because this is really weird how they implemented that.
That's so dumb.
Let's
Okay.
see. Try round 2.
Like it was literally the border of the star.
Let me see again. No, it's the same thing. Okay. No. What is the other? We had another site for the resources, right? Let's get another star.
Yeah.
We can get it.
Flat icon?
Yeah, let's get it from flat icon. I don't want to do all that work and modify that SVG. When there's better. Yeah. You just come here and find a ton of them. Yeah, confirm. You give me free assets anyway, so.
Fair trade-off.
Yeah. Free. And we want a black outline.
There's a bunch of good looking ones.
Yeah. Maybe. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I think this one works for us because this one looks a bit thick, as we were saying. Let's see. We download. Like, how big is this SVG?
It's like still downloading.
Let's see. Open with Illustrator. Don't tell me it's gonna open. Okay. That's something I don't like about Adobe. They update, like, let's say they bring out the new 2021, right? They leave 2020 and install 2021. And 2021 becomes default, but when you go and click open with, you have this like question, right? Like, okay, which one is actually open right now? If you don't see this at the top, you're like, okay. And you don't even use the old one. So you just take the old one and put the new one, right? Or
Yeah, that's what I was
make
just
it,
thinking. Just delete the
Yeah.
old one.
or make it like an opt-in option. Like we have, the preview releases in Visual Studio. Like if I want to use it, I'll go find it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're releasing something stable, just replace the old one. That's it. Let's see. Oh, perfect. You see? We have all our things
Nice.
here.
Yeah, it looks
Nice.
exactly like the same star.
Yep. Let's go. Wait, did I have?
We were using 48 earlier.
Yeah. So I rolled back was when you're using SVGs or any asset, I came right away and said 48 times 48. But something we should always do before modifying the size is check out the proportions here. If it was the same width and height, okay, it's good if you just set the same numbers. But if it had a different size for the width and the height, if you put it the same size, it's gonna look stretched. So there's a little option here. You have a little like lock. You can activate that, and let's say I wanted the width, which is what matters to me, to be 48. He will readjust the height automatically for you, right? To keep the same scale. So, okay. Now 48 looks huge. Because I knew this was like too small for what I was giving to it.
Right.
So for big icons that you want people to tap on them, it's recommended to have it like 32 times 32. So I'm gonna put like a 32 size here. Let's take this one out. If you guys remember, this is the box I created to center my star. So I can go over here. It's centered. Now it looks kind of small with 32. Let's just leave it at 42 maybe. Oh, wait. 42 looks good. Because 48 it's a bit too much. Okay, so let's center this again. Good. Let's add the yellow. Good. And now our star 42. Okay. Activate the lock. 42. Okay, let's center this. And so this obviously has the corner, like the borders here, but yeah, we don't need to add those borders. We get the idea with this. What do you think about it? Should we do, let me do the dark one as well, just in case.
No, I think it looks pretty good. I think well, assuming we slap in the star and it works, thinking ahead, I think the bigger challenge is going to be some of the fine tuning on the UI. You can't really see it in the screenshot, but that card has a background color.
Yeah.
And so we have like padding and stuff with the rounded corners. And so there's like a black bar on the right side of the card that will essentially start covering up the text, or in this case, the icon, as it's closing, instead of like the card covering it, if that makes sense. So I've got to play around with stuff.
You mean this one here? On the left side?
Well, yeah, no, that's another good one too. But there's, if you can picture that, the gray card is actually on a black background.
Yeah.
And that black background has a couple pixels of padding. And so as you swipe and you start to reveal, in this case, the text, that's when you'll notice there it goes gray card, black background, then the text. Let me see if I can just grab a screenshot of it.
That's how it should be, because remember, the sensation it has to give when you swipe is that this, whatever is here, is on the background, so under the card.
I'm gonna send you this photo. Just tweeted it to you. So it's not super obvious. It's definitely probably something not everybody would even notice, but if I can fix it, then I'd like to. And it's just, we never had to deal with anything behind these cards before, so we were able to cheat and say like, just set the background color to match the page. And but yeah, if you pull up that image, I can show you what I'm talking about. Where
I'm downloading it right now. Let's JPEG large. What? Okay, I'll just show it in Twitter. Because I tried to download it and it downloaded with a weird format.
So see where the grayed card is compared to the text that's revealed?
Oh, wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
look.
that's what I gotta figure out.
And why is it like? Why is this not zooming? You see, like it has like a shape here.
That's just the text that hasn't been revealed yet.
But
So that's
wait.
an O. You're seeing just the side of the O.
I
But-
really want.
Anyways,
to
has nothing to do with what you're working on right now, but that's something I'm keeping in mind before we roll this out, because
Yeah.
it should be like a gray card sitting on top of a black background. So it should be anything not hidden by that gray card should be revealed. There should be a black padding around it, but
Yep.
that's just gonna be a Xamarin Forms thing, playing around with background colors and
There.
however we're doing all that stuff. I remember I knew this was a thing and had played around with it before, but didn't really have to fix it. It was like, nobody will know. 'Cause the
Yep.
colors are the same, but
So let me see. Maybe because this has a padding or margin from this. Maybe it's keeping the same margin when you swipe. Let me see. Wait, where is
I
it?
don't know. There's a couple things going around, but yeah,
Yeah.
it could be margin, could be padding. It's definitely a background
Yeah,
color,
something is happening there. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, also like you pointed out too, the card getting cut off on the left with that margin. I don't know if we'll be able to. Actually, I'm looking at it in the simulator now, and it behaves like I'd expect it to. So actually, that's actually fine. But anyways,
Okay.
these are the little things that really add the polish to your app.
Yep.
Because again, it should just look like a card sliding to the left, and anything below that gray card should be revealed.
Yep. Send backward. Send backward. Wait, let me just use the shortcut. Yeah, I don't have patience. Let's see. Let's go over here. How much more? Come on.
Just send it to the back.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Now one more. One more. Come to the front again. Okay. It doesn't want to work with us. It's like, leave me alone. Let's see. Where's the shortcut to bring it to the front? Yeah, I was doing this. How much stuff do we have then?
Yeah, I wonder how many layers it's going through.
Yeah, like. Okay, there you go. We're back. Okay. So what happened here now? Send back. Oh god. Don't make it so hard for me. Why is it like this? Oh, okay. There. Now this one got out of place. And you should be in the back. I will just send it to the back. I already used it. Okay. So this is kind of how it looking, right? This. Now why does this look so high? I need to center
Yeah, it
it.
doesn't look like it's centered.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, because you see, now I notice I had some extra space in the sides and at the top, so this actually didn't work for the final centering. This only works for the vertical one, but no, for the horizontal one, but not for the vertical one. So let's do this. There you go. And why did all of this come down? There you go. Yeah. You know, something I was also thinking, we could use, what's it called again? What we used to add animations. Martin did the extension.
Lottie?
For it. Yeah, we could use Lottie and maybe add a animated star here, no? To make it like pop when we press it.
So again, I don't know how much control we have of a swipe view, because the swipe view just has a swipe item, and I think Xamarin Forms does the rest. So, yeah, I could do an animation without Lottie, because you could tell it to do something like scale down to 0, and then when the scale is 0, change it to the full star, and then have it like bounce back out.
Yeah.
And so that would be really cool.
Work.
I have no idea if we can actually do that with swipe view. And I'm thinking no, but certainly down to give it a shot if it is possible.
Yeah. Well, I think we could actually use this. It's simple. It gets to the point. The other thing, we have a few minutes left. We can use the last 5. Yeah, let's use 5 minutes to define the last bit of the favorite, which is the tag we're using here, right? So how are we gonna visually show in the card that this is favorite, and also when it's trending in favorite, how should it work, right? And this is actually not accurate how it is right now. It's like this.
Depends on the size of your screen.
Oh, yeah, so this changes. Yeah, true. If the screen is smaller, this gets put down here. So yeah, we can keep maybe the last one like that, so we can have both views of it. There you go. Okay, so this is what we have right now. So the first idea you had was, so I have my little trending component here. First idea you had was, let's make it, let's make it this teal color. Teal. Okay. So we said we could have either the dashes yellow when it's trending in favorite. Maybe something like this. Let me put it over here. There you go. Now let me delete the.
Because I got a hunch that users will quickly figure out that the favorite goes at the top, and so something like this also tells you when a favorite is trending, and there's probably a small chance that the first time you favorite a repo, it is trending, but I think you'll become more used to that favorite repo being at the top. And so I think it's important to let the user know that favorite repo is also trending, but that it's also still a favorite. And I'm kind of thinking now that we have it there, that, well, I don't know.
Another thing that comes up now is when we have the combination should be on top of even the favorite ones, right? Oh yeah, because even the trending goes, no. Does favorite go on top of trending or no?
Yeah, favorite, it goes favorite, trending, then whatever you've selected to sort by, whether it's stars or views. So
okay. So when it's the combination, it should go before favorite and after trending, no? Or maybe on top of everything.
Yeah, if it's a favorite and trending, it'll definitely be first.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what I'm thinking now is, what if we just have a trending tag that's all yellow? So it still says trending, same dash lines, but the text on trending is yellow.
Let's see.
Basically matching what we see below with favorite, but you'll know like a green trending tag means it's trending, whereas a favorite that's also trending will keep the yellow tag.
Yeah.
Like I think the yellow is enough of a cue to let people know like this is a favorite.
Yeah, definitely. I like how it looks, yeah. You can read it.
Like, I think that works, and like the trending tag we're using is an SVG. And so we don't even need a new trending SVG.
Resource.
We could just we could just change its color.
Yeah. So for this one, I can just port the SVG as well. Let's make a component out of view. Oh, I can make a component because this is a component. Let's see if I copy and paste it. Hopefully it doesn't see it as a component anymore. Let's see. Yeah, still. It's okay. I just want to export you.
Yeah, as long as we get the SVG.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think we should? I think we're done with the favorite. Let's see. So another idea I had was like playing around also with this line here, but I think that was gonna be like too much. So in case we had to like mix here, like okay, let's just focus on the favorite for now. Let's say if it's favorite, I wanted to like make also. Where's the color I'm using? Let me take this yellow. It's gonna still be like with that opacity, right? But instead of using the black color for it, we can use the yellow. And no, it doesn't work. So in my head, this looked like highlights and stuff, like it was gonna look good, but maybe let me take off the opacity. I don't like it. So yeah, that was the idea. Like all the borders, maybe we could. Now that I think of it and I say it out loud, it like sounds so bad. I was thinking like, okay, all the borders, like make them yellow so he gets his favorite everything. Let's see. Wait, wrong one. Wrong one. Come back. There you go. Okay, so I want this border, this one, and let's put it yellow. Yeah, it's too much. Let's go back. Let's see.
It's a cool idea though.
Yeah. Well, it's not that bad. I don't know. Maybe this middle one we leave as it was, and the outer one we can leave yellow. Let's see.
I mean,
no.
It would be kind of cool. Sorry, it took
Yeah,
my
it's
throat.
okay.
Like and I think this would be too much, but almost give it like a gold sheen, so it almost looks like that card turned to gold when you favorited it, or
Wait, but we can
like a
use like
sapphire
gradients.
sheen.
Can we use gradients?
we could use gradients. Yeah,
We got tagged in Twitter that we should use the new stuff. I'm like, okay, let's throw this in there so we can. Yeah, maybe we could use like a really light gradient and like only put like a little yellow like here in the corner or something. Or let's try it with this one. I think I can do a gradient right here. Can the field be a gradient? Yeah. So do you want it at an angle or just like cut? I would say
I have no idea. I've never really played around with gradients before, but but yeah, when we changed the border to gold, it reminded me of like, you know, when you get a fancy credit card, like they like to make them like thick and heavy nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost as if. Yeah, it's almost as if like this repo card turned into like a fancy gold Amex or something like that.
Yeah.
And if we can pull it off, it would be cool to do the same with trending.
Yeah. I don't hate the gradient actually. Let me change this from dark to like
I'd put it back at white, yeah.
And maybe can I modify? Okay. Maybe something like something. I need to play around with it, but yeah, I think there's something there. We could definitely like decorate it with a little gradient. Wait, why is everything else getting the gradient as well?
No.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But we get the idea, right?
There's an idea there. I mean, maybe like we do the opposite. We could go from the other corner, since that's where the tag is. So it's almost like the tag is emitting this gold light. But yeah, maybe that's what we work on next week.
I'll play around with the gradient. With the gradient tool in Adobe XD, because I know in Illustrator I can manipulate it however I want, but here, and next week we can play around with that, because I know people feel sometimes intimidated of like making gradients and like, oh, what color should I combine so it actually looks good, and how should I position it. So that's a good idea. But I think we did some good progress in the favorite, right?
Yeah. If you pop that, let's see, the yellow. Oh, we already have the trending SVG. So yeah, if you pop that favorite SVG and the border star SVG into the repo, then I can pop those into the app, no problem.
Yep.
That takes like 5 minutes. Right, we're at the top of the hour already, so we won't keep everybody on, but we can show it off next week. Next show on Friday.
Yeah, on the start of the next show, I can add this, or if you want me, I can add it as homework, and that way you want to play around with it. No, because either way, next show we're gonna implement this, right? So at the first 5 minutes, we do this, upload it in the repo, you put it down, and
sure,
sounds like a plan. Yep. All right, so it's 8 p.m. already, guys. Thank you, everybody, for logging in and staying loyal, as always, with the series. I see we had a few followers today. Thank you, Deb, for following us. Thank you, Dino Baby, Deb Jutsu. I see we had Faisa active in the chat. It's always good to have you here. And we're going to see you on Friday. And what are we going to be doing on Friday, Brandon?
This. Star, the trending tag. We'll pop it all into code, see how it looks. And then that's where we'll be able to figure out like how much freedom do we have with swipe view? Can we mess with margins and paddings? Can we do animations? I hope so. I don't think it's possible. Well, let's put it this way. I've never tried to do that with a swipe view before. So maybe it's possible and I just haven't tried it yet. But it'd be really cool if we can.
Yeah, and it is also going to give them a good idea of like, okay, we work every day with Xamarin, but not because we work every day, we have done everything, right? So we're going to have a fun time figuring it out. And is there any events or anything happening this week?
Oh yeah, .NET conference, man.
Yep.
.NETconf.net. That's the URL. It's a totally free conference that Microsoft is hosting, and it actually goes all through the night tonight. So there's talks going on right now. There has been talks going on since we started streaming.
Yep.
And those talks will continue for the next 24 hours.
Nice.
So check them out. There's some cool things. Like there's my buddy Michael Stabe is giving a talk on GraphQL. That's at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. So I might just catch the recording, but
yep.
Yeah, check out the agenda for .NET Conf. If you just Google .NET Conf, there's a lot of good stuff. Plus, yesterday were all the new product announcements. So like what's new in Xamarin Forms 5, what's new in C# 9, what's new in .NET 5, all that stuff. So we chatted a little bit about it today, but there's tons of goodies, especially if you're into Entity Framework, because there's new versions of Entity Framework, there's new versions of ASP.NET, everything just got a version upgrade. So lots of new goodies were released yesterday.
Yep. Well, thank you again, everyone. Have a nice rest of your evening, and see you on Friday. Bye.